would you advise a parent to do if they feel that a school isn't supporting their child as much as they should be doing?
I think
Your partner's in the Navy, is that right?
yes,
Did you
he
say
is.
that?
Yes.
So you're a hero at home too. And it's hard, isn't it?
You too.
Do you notice a difference in the behaviour of military children in the school compared to non-military children?
Certainly sometimes, yes. As soon as our families come to us, we want them to feel part of our service support. So as soon as we go on our home visits in September in reception, we say to families, please give us photos of you as a family, if possible with your serving parent in uniform, but whatever they want to send us really. And we'll put them straight up on our Musketeers board. I'm Ruth Halbauer and I'm the Deputy Headteacher of an infants school just outside of Fareham in Hampshire.
I had the pleasure of coming to your school a few weeks ago. That was quite a while ago now, to do a reading of one of my books that I wrote to support military children. And I was really blown away with the support that your school has in place for military children and children in general who have a parent who work away. I thought it was incredible. But then also your school's in quite a unique position, I think, where you have a really high volume of military children.
Yeah, so we do. So we have approximately 30% of our children are military, which is small compared to some schools because we're not on a garrison or a base or anything.
Right.
So it's large compared to most schools.
Yeah. Okay. And when you realise you've got a child enrolling in the school and the parents tick that military box, does that spark some kind of process in the school for you to know? Do they go on a register or something?
Yeah, so it means they go straight on a register. I become aware of them, and then we can start looking at ways that we can support them. So when we go and do our transition visits with preschools, it's something that we'll talk about then, and we'll get an idea of what things have looked like for that child while they've been at preschool, whether there's been any deployments or any time away, anything significant we need to know. And then when we have our transitions with parents, it's also something we can discuss with them, and we will let them know how we support our service families as well. For us, it often actually begins before they fill out the form, when they first come round to look at the school in the October beforehand. And we're just chatting to parents. And then when they say that they're in the services, that's when we can start to share some of the support and ideas. And we always say that from the moment a child joins our school, that's the whole family that we're there to support. So we always say to them, keep in touch.
Yeah, that's incredible because that is definitely the vibe that I got when I was visiting your school. The fact that you're picking it up even before they're attending the school, when they're just doing their initial visits, I think that is so amazing. Do you notice a difference in the kind of behavior or maturity levels or emotional well-being of military children in the school compared to non-military children?
Certainly sometimes, yes. So it's not really a black and white answer, as in we have lots of children who don't have parents in the military who need quite a lot of emotional support, but we also have lots of children with parents in the military who do as well. It does tend to vary from child to child, and it might vary during their time with us. For example, you might have a child who really starts to need that support when they're in year two, when they're a bit older, or they might be needing it from straight away. A lot of it depends on their own unique circumstances, because within our school, we have families who have parents who weekend, we have families of submariners, we have families where the parents are away for really significant amounts of time. It's quite different depending on each child, and also the family dynamic and that child's emotional resilience as well. So we definitely do see an impact. One of the things we've done a lot of is training for all of our staff around the emotional cycle of deployment to help staff, to help them recognise some of the differences that they might see in children.
Okay, that's an actual program, isn't it? I think I've seen that on the Naval Children's Charity information.
I'm not 100% sure I've got the origins of this correct, but I believe it was originally a study carried out on how deployments affected military spouses, which was commissioned by the Navy, I think, a good few years ago. And then over time, it's been adapted by various organisations. So there are various different versions of it. The one that we use has been made by the Naval Families Federation a few years ago now, which specifically looks at the impact of deployment on children and looks at the different emotional responses you might see to a deployment, as well as some of the behaviours that might present, and then gives some suggestions of things that families can do to support that. So we've looked at that and looked at how it ties up with our own experiences and the different points in which we might do things at school to support with those different stages, those 7 stages of deployment, starting from way before a child even knows about the deployment, from when the parents first know. Even our youngest children start to pick up on that, right through to the days just before deployment, then the early days after, the time while the parent has gone, and then just before they come back, and then the period directly after they come back as well, that readjustment period. So it's got 7 different stages that a child will work through, and some children seem to go through them, almost breeze through them, and some children find it really difficult and might get really stuck in a phase, for example, really struggling emotionally, might be really distracted, might find school hard, separating from parents, might show regressive behaviours like bedwetting. So some children cope very differently as they move through that cycle, in the same way that as a military spouse you do as well.
That's incredible. So it sounds like a really thorough piece of work or program, really, to help people identify the different needs that a child may have going through the entire deployment. It covers the whole thing from before the deployment even begins, right through
Yeah.
to the end.
Yeah, it is really good. It's the one that we've used to train our staff, which we've just adapted and used to train our staff and to support our parents, is the Naval Families Federation one.
And when I was there, you had a wall with photos and bits of information on it.
So
I thought
we
that
want,
was lovely.
yeah, it's one of the things that we really love having. As soon as our families come to us, we want them to feel part of our service support. So we have a name for the group, which is called the Musketeers, because obviously it's tri-service, although we are a predominantly naval family school. And as soon as we go on our home visits in September in reception, we say to families, please give us photos of you as a family, if possible with your serving parent in uniform, but whatever they want to send us, really. And they will either email them to us or they might print them out and give them to us. And we'll put them straight up on our Musketeers board. So as you're walking around the school, you can see who all of our Musketeers are. They can see each other. It means they can see similarities and differences between their family and other families. It gives them a sense of belonging as part of a community. So we have all the parents, and then we have a separate section, which is a newer section. I can't remember if it was there when you came or not. Our Heroes at Home section, which actually came from another staff member who was one day saying, it's really tricky because the person who's been away gets the hero's welcome. What about the person that's been at home looking after the children and being the steady constant for those children the whole time? Why aren't we celebrating them? So we decided that we would. So we've got a part of our board now, and we ask the parent who's at home, or in some cases it's grandparents, where grandparents have a really big role to play during deployments. We say send in pictures of them as well, please, and we'll put them in our Heroes Who Help Us at Home section of the board. So everybody's well represented, and the children walk past on their way to assembly and they say, oh, there's my dad, there's my mum, look, your mum's got the same uniform as my dad. It gives them a real sense of belonging.
Yeah, I love that. I love the Heroes at Home thing, because do I remember rightly that you said your partner's in the Navy? Is that right?
Yes,
Did you
he
say
is.
that?
Yes.
So you're a hero at home too. And it's hard, isn't it? Is your partner home now for the babe?
Yeah, he is home at the moment, yes.
Okay, nice. My husband's away midweek at the moment, but it's tough doing it on your own. So definitely the Heroes at Home thing is really good. I've never heard anything like that before, because normally the mums at home are just expected to get on with it.
We're having a bit of a rant one day because actually there's a few of us on the school staffing team, which I think helps, who are either current serving spouses or who have had a husband who's then retired from the forces. So between us, we've got a very good understanding, and I think that helps. Obviously, you can do it without, you can easily support without. Lots of our staff support brilliantly and have no personal experience of life in the services.
Yeah.
But it is nice for the parents. I think they sometimes they feel they can come to us and go, it's hard, isn't it? And they know that we understand.
Yeah, I think one thing from interviewing quite a broad range of military spouses is there is a disconnect. I hate saying civilian families, but that's, I don't know what else to say really, but there's definitely a disconnect, a lack of understanding somewhere with the issues I think that military families face. And I suppose that's one of the things that I'm trying to highlight and educate to get understanding across the board really for military families. So I can understand how if a parent's struggling, they would appreciate having someone like yourself that knows what they're going through to be able to talk to about that.
Yeah, I think that is really useful for them. I think you're right. When the first big deployment that we had as a family after my son was born, I collected him from nursery, or I dropped him off and I said, Daddy's going to collect today. And that was the first time he had ever collected from nursery because he had been away since my little boy was 10 months old. He'd been away for 7 months.
God.
It was his first ever time coming. And we'd had this conversation when he first started, and then the nursery key worker had changed, and the new key worker obviously didn't know. It obviously hadn't been passed on. And she said, oh, has he been away for the weekend? I was like, no, but longer than the weekend, actually, nearly half his life. So, yeah, and I think it's just something that people they don't necessarily, or they might notice at the time and then it's a bit out of mind, which is why in our staff room we have a board and we have pictures of the children on there who have current deployments. So we have a section that says, I have a parent that's going away soon. And then I have a parent that's away now. And I've got a parent that's just come home. Why don't you ask me about it? Just to make sure that everybody, all of our children stay current for all of our staff so that they don't start to forget after a few weeks.
That's so inclusive. And that's actually like quite a lot of admin work on top of the usual work that you have to do in schools, which I hear is a lot anyway from my friends that are teachers. Is one of the big bugbears is the amount of paperwork and admin. And you've given yourself this whole extra layer to track all these children's and the parents coming and going just so that you can put that support in place. I just think it's incredible.
It's very worthwhile. And we have a little team of us in the school, spread that work between us. But it's
Yeah.
benefit that we have from seeing those children more emotionally regulated and adjusted is, yeah, we would want to support all of our children. And we support lots of children who are going through lots of different things
Yeah.
in lots of different ways. But this is one way that we can really support those children.
Hello, I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. I just wanted to take a few seconds to tell you about one of my books, The Unplannable Planner, which is a journal for military spouses to help you navigate the ups and downs of military life. With entry spaces for 365 days, a deployment countdown calendar, and essential advice on managing the challenges that military life throws at all of us, is designed to support military families through thick and thin. Plus, it does include some useful hacks for dealing with unique situations of military life that you are bound to face. And it's available now on Amazon. Just search Tallulah Gray or follow the link in the podcast description. Yeah, and I did notice as well that the Musketeers, it's not just for military children, it's for all the children at the school that have a parent who works away no matter what their role is as well. So they're included in that, which is great. So what other activities then do the Musketeer children get to do in your school?
So we have a weekly Musketeer session, which is run by our emotional literacy support assistant. And she takes the children in groups. So mostly they come in groups of their own year group peers, just because we have so many of them. Although I know some schools where it works really well, where they have mixed year groups as well. They come together, they have an opportunity to share. So almost a circle time type activity at the beginning of every session, where they can talk about anything that's new, anything that's different. Obviously, We know at this point if there are any deployments upcoming because we've asked parents to give us all the information. So it means that we can be a bit prepared. And if, for example, we know a ship's going out and there'll be 3 children who have a parent on there, we can talk about that. And our ELSA will prepare things such as finding photos of the ship, finding out where it's going, and having resources available for the children to look at and explore. There's always a sort of craft activity, a play activity, just to give them a bit of a chance to have some downtime and share those experiences with their friends. We have a sensory area within our musketeer room as well. And then during that time, if we have any parents who are deployed, we will also work with them to keep in touch. So it might be, for example, writing a bluey, it might be recording a video message, drawing a picture. We keep scrapbooks of the time that our children are with us in Musketeers, and any work that they're really proud of from their class, they can put in there, or anything they do in their Musketeers sessions. For example, when it was Father's Day, we did a piece of work around our heroes, and the children all drew somebody that was really special to them. And then they could put that into their scrapbook as well. And then by the time they leave us at the end of year 2, they've got a scrapbook of their Musketeers memories that they can share. And also, if they have a parent who's been on a deployment, when they come back, they can share the book with them, which is also really nice. So that's the support that happens in school weekly. We release the children from their normal timetable to do that. The sessions are about 20, 30 minutes. We just vary the time of day so that they're not always missing the same thing. But we think it's really important that all of the children can come, which is why we do it during the school day rather than after school or at lunchtime. And then we also, some children might have some one-to-one support with our ELSA during the week if they've got something that's really tricky for them at the moment. And then we also have big family celebrations, which we have about 4 or 5 times a year, where we invite siblings, parents, and we do a get-together after school. And we do some food. We put on pizza or hot dogs, and it's just a chance for all the families to network and get to know each other. We do games and activities for the children. We've just had an Easter one, and we did Easter egg competitions and things, Easter egg hunts. So it's just a chance for everybody to come together and get to know their community, because for some of our families, quite a few of them live on a patch, so they do know quite a lot of people, but there are also quite a lot who don't. And when they first start in September, they might not know any of the other parents, or they might be quite isolated in terms of support networks and friendships. So it's an opportunity for us to help families to connect with each other as well.
Yes, and that's really helpful, especially if they are new to the area, as you were saying. So this all sounds like really amazing support, but it also sounds expensive. And I work with schools, and you hear lots on the news about budget cuts. Do your school access any particular funding for this, or is it through donations, or how do you manage it, all this incredible support?
Firstly, we use our service pupil premium. That's the nominated amount of money we get for each child. Obviously, having a fairly substantial service cohort, that money is quite substantial for us.
Yeah.
So that's predominantly what we used. We employ our ELSA not just to support our service families. She supports a whole range of other children as well. She runs lots of different emotional support sessions, and she also supports in class. So we're using a proportion of her time, which is what we're funding from our service pupil premium. We have in the past also applied to different charities. So, for example, our sensory area, we made with the support of the Naval Children's Charity, who donated us £500 to buy resources and section off an area of the room and put up dark curtains and make that accessible for all of our children. So there is various funding streams out there that you can apply for.
And again, you just have to be resourceful. Something that I hear a lot, parents whose children aren't at a school that's necessarily as supportive as yours. I don't know if you join any of the kind of military spouse groups on social media, but the question a lot of them say is, my school isn't supporting my child. Can I ask them what they're doing with this pupil premium money that they get that should be supporting my child? Is it appropriate for a parent to do that? And what would you advise a parent to do if they feel that a school isn't supporting their child as much as they should be doing?
I think, yes, I think it's definitely appropriate. But I think that in the first instance, it's really important to just be really open and upfront with the school right from the beginning about your life and about the difficulties that your child faces. Make sure they know in advance of any deployments, ask for meetings, ask to talk to people. Schools are really busy places, and often people have just got so many other jobs on. It's not that they don't want to offer that support, but it might be that either they haven't had the experience before, that they don't know what to do, or that they're just so busy. Make yourself known and say, we have a deployment coming up and I really think my child would benefit from some additional support. Do you have any ideas? Maybe we could meet to talk about it and I could tell you what it looked like last time, or some of the things that I think might help my child in school. And also if they're open to it, but they really don't know what they might be able to do, there are various things they can look at online. There's quite a lot of ideas for supporting service families online. All of the different Forces charities publish things that you can do with your children. It's likely that the school will have a service lead, even if they only have 1 or 2 children. Lots of schools locally to us have just 1 or 2 children, but still have service leads, and they still come to the network meetings that we hold locally. And they do find it harder to support their children when they've got 1 or 2, but there are some really amazing things that go on, even if it's just things that are quite simple to do, like creating transition books, having photos, having an area in the school with a picture, making sure that class teachers know. Some of those things are totally free. And just that emotional support of knowing that the people in school know is really important. So I think, that would be my advice, just to keep talking to them right from the beginning and let them know. And then if you feel like things still aren't happening, then you can maybe start to say, I know some schools will probably put it towards employment of people like family liaison officers or emotional support assistants, which means then that as a family or as a child, you should be entitled to a bit of that time of that person. So definitely just ask the questions. And I should think in a lot of cases, you'll be really pleasantly surprised by what you get back. There's a lot of really good work going on.
Yeah, and I think schools only want to help, don't they? It's like you say, they're busy places with lots going on, and sometimes I think you just have to say, hey, we're here and we need some help.
Yeah,
and
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's really helpful. Thank you. And so just a little bit about yourself then, because you're a Navy spouse and you're pregnant with your second child.
Yes. Yeah. Due any day.
Wow, that's amazing. And your other child is nursery age, is that right?
Yes, he's 4. Yeah.
Gosh, you're going to be busy. And you've done all of this and a career in a school with a husband that's in the Navy. So how are you balancing everything?
I think it's a huge part of it is support networks. We're very fortunate that we've got both of our parents are wonderful. They really support us as a family, and they support us with looking after our little boy as well. They come up and they make sure they spend a lot of time with him, which allows me to work as well. He goes to a lovely nursery, and I've got a great support network within school as well. I think that's what allows me to be at school and do the job, because I've got people who really understand and people who know.
Yeah.
So I think it's a supportive community for adults as well as children. And I work, again, I can't say it enough, the team I work with in school supporting our military families are amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible and lovely to hear all the positive support that's going on in Fairham for the military. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me when you're on maternity leave and should definitely be resting up.
It's okay, I'm going out for a coffee.
Lovely. You definitely should do that while you can. Okay. Thank you so much, Ruth. I really appreciate it. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. It's absolutely no problem.
All right.
All right. Take care. Bye.